Well, greetings, friend. I hope you are well today. I'm really honored to be sharing these tips that I've gathered over the last 25 plus years, being a realtor, real estate broker, managing broker owner, and now back as a realtor where I love my role. It's such a fulfilling job, and it's not a job. It's a calling, I think, to help families, individuals transition to the next chapter in their life. And I made some notes, so I'm going to refer to them so I don't miss any steps, because this is, I think, is so vital to helping you if you're a first-time buyer or you're, thinking about buying another property, downsizing, upsizing, etc. So these may not be new to you, but depending on where you are in your real estate buying career. But let me help you with some basics here and then explain to you why these things are so important. So when you're thinking about buying a home, what's the first thing that you should be considering? And whether you're paying cash or getting a loan for the property, that's key. And even if you are blessed to be in the position to pay cash for a home, would that be the best way to spend or to take your money and put it all on a property? Everybody's financial situation is a little bit different, but depending on where your money is currently earning, what it's earning, where it's placed versus the current interest rate, it may not be a wise decision to take cash out of something that's creating interest income for you and putting it all in a house, which yes, will eventually, create a net gain for you, because property values for the most part always go up, especially in Florida here, because we've got so many people moving to our state. But those are conversations we have depending on your financial situation. If you're not in that position where you don't have the cash to buy a home, then obviously working with what I would prefer, a local real estate mortgage broker who can guide you to the best plan of attack here when getting a loan. Not every person is, entitled to get a VA loan. You must be a veteran or a family of a veteran member. You may not be qualified for FHA. You may not have the money to make the deposit on a conventional loan. So step one is to align yourself with the right professionals to guide you, to help you make the best financial decision when it comes to buying a property. So number one is always going to be speak with a loan officer. I've got some great gentlemen and ladies that I've worked with over my 26 years. I'd always refer you to people that I have worked with myself. So step one is always going to be get pre-approved so you know exactly what you can pay your monthly fees for. And remember, it's not just the principal and interest, but also, depending on where the property is, the taxes and insurance are going to be different as well. So those are four things that we're going to talk about in the near future. PITI, principal, interest, taxes, and insurance. But the key is to find a good lender who can qualify you properly and not give you the answers you want to hear, but give you the answer you need to hear so that you can purchase a property and not be mortgage poor when you move in. That's key. So getting pre-approved is vital if you're getting a loan. And if you're not getting a loan, you're thinking about paying cash, then I would speak to your financial advisor saying, hey, is this a good idea? Should I take that money out of my retirement accounts or wherever it is to pay for a home, and now your money's all tied up in the property? Yes, you don't have a mortgage payment, but you're not making interest on that money either. So let's give that some thought. Finding the right realtor. Experience matters in this business, okay? I was fortunate to be placed on the board of a board of director position at the Florida Realtors that helped write the contracts. Okay, so I know the contracts inside and out, and that's much, much more than just writing the address, a purchase price, and your name. There's a lot of intricacies that go into the contract that protect you, the buyer, so that we are getting you the best possible home for the best money that's out there. It's much more than just price. It's closing costs. It's dates of closing. There's a number of things. There's home warranties involved, inspections, appraisal, etc. So working with professionals, no matter whether they be in the real estate arena, being a mortgage person, a realtor, how about getting a good home inspector, an appraiser, a termite gentleman or lady in the WDO field here in Florida? Those are all very, very key to helping you make the wisest decision on the property that you are considering buying. Searching for homes. Once we get pre-approved, we start the search. I'm going to do a thorough interview with you. I want you to describe to me your dream property. What are the things that you must have? Okay. And then what we do is we search for properties of those must-haves, given your budget, okay, what you're pre-approved for. And what I really like to get from my lenders is, what can they afford monthly? Because we've got to factor in what the insurance and the taxes are going to cost you on a monthly basis. It's not just principal and interest. It's what you can afford monthly that's important, including PITI, principal, interest, taxes, and insurance. Now think about this. Next time you're driving by a car dealership, do you ever see the total sticker price on that windshield of that Ford F-150? I haven't. I've always seen $599 or whatever that monthly payment is. But nobody knows what that monthly payment is because it's going to be based on a person's down payment and credit as well. So what's important to you is PITI. Can I afford that home? And once we know that, then we're going to start the property search. What's your dream home? What's the criteria here? How many bedrooms, bathrooms? What's important to you? Is it a neighborhood that you can walk? Is it the school district? Are you a boater? Are you a golfer? These are the type of things I want to ask you to say, hey, these are the things I'm looking for. Here's my budget, since I will be in contact with your loan officer, so I know exactly what you can afford, and then we'll start the search from there. Should there not be properties that your dream property in that budget that we're talking about, we need to tweak the criteria. Maybe you wanted a pool, but you know what? There are no pool homes in that budget. So we have to tweak something. We have to either change the area, change the size of the home, remove the pool, or whatever. So that's key. And I always am going to listen to what you want me to show you. All right. If you're looking for a 3-2 with a pool, I'm going to show you a 3-2 with pool. I want to show you what you want. And then from there, maybe we tweak it a little bit to say, hey, here's your dream property. Okay. We can find it, but it might not be in that school zone. It might be in somewhere else. So that's all key. It's all part of the process. So getting pre-approved, finding the right realtor and loan officer. And number 3 was searching for a property. Once we find the right property, it checks all the boxes, if not most of them for you. We're going to write up an offer. A standard Florida contract is about 13 pages. There's a lot of information on there, but most of it is, the important information as far as the property address, the legal description, the purchase price, a closing date. Those are the things we're going to fill in on the contract. I will tell you that the contracts in Florida are very buyer friendly. Okay. The buyers have a few different ways to get out of the contract, legally and ethically if they choose to. One of them is through financing. That home must appraise and you must be able to get the loan. And if anything changes and you are denied the loan within 30 days, you are able to get your escrow back. The other way is through inspections. And by using an as-is contract, we have the rights to do inspections within a time frame for the inspection period. And during that time frame, should there be any reason that we wish to cancel the contract, we can cancel the contract and the escrow goes back to you. As long as you are playing the game, meaning you've applied in time, you've done what the lender has asked you to do, you're taking all the necessary steps to do those things, and we send in a release and cancellation if needed within the time frame for inspections. We can go over that at a later date. Another contract, the standard contract, doesn't allow you to cancel for whatever reason, but it would require the seller to fix certain items, warranted items, WDO, which stands for wood destroying organisms, or termites, as we like to use that term here in Florida, and open permits. So when we get to the point, we find the right property, we'll go over that in detail. So we want to make an offer on a property that's fair to the seller. We want to play ball, okay? I know from a listing side, when I'm representing the seller, when I get an offer in that is so ridiculously low, do you think we really want to even play ball with these guys or counter offer? We rarely don't. I think the key to making a good offer is to substantiate it with some facts. Here's why we're making the offer. I have a solid buyer. They love the neighborhood, etc. We can make the case for you individually, but more importantly, why are we making this offer on this property at this price? Here are the comparables, okay? There's no way I can justify this number that you're selling it for, but I can justify it for this number. So that's what we're going to do once we get pre-approved, okay? We find the right offer, find the right property, and we write the offer. Once our offer is submitted over to the seller's realtor or to the seller directly, depending if they're for sale by owner, then the clock starts ticking regarding escrow, the deposit you're going to be making, and inspections. Normally, everything's negotiable on a contract, including the days for inspections and for the deposit. But let's just go to what it defers to, which if left blank X. So if left blank 3 days to make a deposit. When we have an offer and it's accepted, that day that it's accepted and returned back to us, that's called the effective date. The effective date is when all parties sign, and it's delivered back to both parties. It's not just the signatures by both parties that make it an effective contract. It's also the delivery of that document back to both parties. Because let's face it, what's more important regarding the contract? Yes, signatures are important, but if you never get it to me, it's not an effective contract. So effective date, meaning signed by both parties and delivered back to both parties. That's the day that the clock starts ticking from that day. So the next day is day 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's how it goes. On the FAR contracts that we use here in Florida, it's all by calendar days, not business days, calendar days. So if it's 3 days from effective date to make the deposit, that's 3 business days. If a date ends on a holiday or weekend, it defers to the next business day. Okay? And again, this is stuff we all go over when we're writing up offers with our customers. The inspections are key. I would always encourage, no matter what year the home is built, to have a home inspection, including new homes, new construction. Because there are going to be times when that builder, they're putting up homes fairly quickly, things might be missed. We want to make sure there's nothing missed, okay? And we ask the seller to fix those things that we want fixed, okay? Very simple. Within that time frame, we'll also set up a WDO, wood destroying organism. And WDO, by the way, isn't just termites. It could be mold, mildew. It's anything that could decay wood, okay? Mold or mildew in an air duct creates problems within the house. So those are things we're going to be testing for as well. We do our inspections. We're not going to cancel the contract because we know it's a good value. It's the neighborhood we want. It's the home I want. But there might be some minor issues that we want to ask the seller to repair. We would then write up an addendum asking the seller to repair X, Y, or Z, or perhaps give us a credit for a certain amount, which is fine. The key, though, is if there are 4-point items that are part of the inspection report that need to be repaired, that's key to have that repaired because we need that for insurance purposes, okay? An insurance policy will not be written or bound by you when paid for unless the 4-point is clean, okay? And again, that's something else we can go over in detail. Once we have that list of repairs, we submit it to the listing agent and the seller. We ask them to, these are the things we're asking for. If they are in agreement, they sign that addendum, we get it back, and now it's a binding part of our contract. The contract terms have not changed. The addendum we wrote is going to basically add terms to that contract. It's supplementing the existing terms. So that's how that all works, okay? If we decide on, if it's minor things that do not have to be repaired to satisfy a clean 4-point, we may ask for a small credit, whatever that amount may be. 5,000, 2,000, whatever. And basically, we would write that in the additional terms of the addendum saying seller to credit buyer X amount at closing, period. Okay. And that would be reduced. That would be less money for you to bring to the closing when you close on the property. Appraisal will also happen usually within 30 days of the effective date. Okay. And while I'm on the appraisal subject, you as a buyer that's getting a loan, the key is to keep your loan officer informed with updated pay stubs, bank statements, etc. If we're around April 15th, you need to have your new tax return submitted. So those are all key things that a good loan officer will remind you of. And my job will be to remind you to stay in contact with that loan officer. The appraiser comes out. The appraiser is an independent contractor that is randomly selected by the buyer's lender, okay? To avoid any type of mortgage fraud, we want to make sure that it's an arm's length transaction, meaning the lender is not related to the appraiser, is not related to the buyer, so that these banks, these lending institutions are loaning money to a third party, a buyer who is able and willing to pay the mortgage. And the appraiser is telling the lender that, yes, this home is worth X amount. And they have to give a pretty detailed document to the lender, which is scrutinized by the underwriters to make sure that the value of the property is there, that the appraiser is saying, yes, it's worth this because of all this documented proof I have from other comparables in the area, public records, etc. That's key. Normally, a property that we are going under contract with is going to appraise because the work I'm doing ahead of time is making sure that the home you're buying is worth what we're buying it for, okay? I would never allow my buyer, okay, to pay more for a property than what it's worth. Now, if they want to do that because of the market conditions and there's very little inventory, okay, we can have that conversation. But during normal times, okay, like what we're in now in June of 2026, where, you know, it's still a seller's market in many areas. We want to make a fair offer that we know that the lender is going to loan money on, period. What's the point of getting a loan on a home and you know it's way overpriced? You're not going to get it. The appraisal won't work. And unless you want to bring money to the table, that loan will be denied. So those are also part of this process of not only finding a home, being approved, searching for a home, writing an offer, and getting a contract, all part of that process. So what happens next? The property is appraised, the inspection went well, the addendum has been signed off by buyer and seller, and we're approaching closing time, okay? You know, what I would suggest to any buyer out there, I'm sure your lender would say this, is never make large purchases on your credit cards. Don't go out and buy a car. Don't go to a furniture store ahead of time buying a household full of furniture, because your credit is going to be pulled prior to closing a second time. We want to make sure that your credit worthiness has not changed because that loan could be denied. We don't want that to happen. Okay. And another thing, if that's denied right before closing, you most likely will be outside of your time frame for the financial obligations, meaning you can't get a letter of denial. You're not going to be able to get your deposit back because you went out and bought a car the day before closing. So don't do that, please, for your own benefit, because this is buying a property is certainly one of the best things you are going to do in your financial life. And not only that, but for your family as well. So just a little tip there. So prior to closing, we're going to do a walkthrough for the property. We want to make sure the property is in the same condition it was the day we wrote the contract. And what does that mean? Well, the sellers have moved their furniture out. We want to make sure nothing is damaged. We want to make sure that the washer and dryer are still there because we asked for it on the contract. We want to make sure that the pool is clean, like it was on day one when we went under contract, that the grass is cut, etc. Other than normal wear and tear, we're going to be expecting the property to be in the same condition it was the day that we wrote the contract up. Okay, that's not asking too much, and it's the right thing to do. It's the fair thing to do for you, the buyer. Okay, the home doesn't have to be spotless, but it has to be in the condition it was at the time we wrote up the contract. Okay? And these are all things that we walk through with every customer. This is a big deal. We've done thousands of these. This might be your first time buying a home. I'm going to hold your hand through the whole process, and I'm your advocate. I want to be there not only on day one, but on day 35, the day we close, and in the future for you, because this is such a momentous and happy event, and I'm thrilled to help any buyer buy a property, no matter what it is. Whether it's your first one, your second one, your 100th one, okay, whether it be an investment or whatever the occasion may be, downsizing, upsizing, etc. Work with someone who has your bottom line, is most important to them. What I care about is you and your bottom line and moving into the right property at the right time. So that's basically a timeline of what happens, with a buyer and the buying process, buying a home. It's an exciting day to find that home. I've worked with lots of first-time home buyers. I'll never forget it. And I hope I can help you, whether you be a first-time home buyer or whether it be your 10th, 20th, whatever it might be, relocation, whatever. I'm here to serve you. I'm John Rurkowski. I help families transition to the next chapter in their life. If I can help you at all, wherever you are in the country, call or text me anytime. I'm always available. 727-459-7356. Make it a great day. And thanks for listening. Peace.